starting a series that I'm gonna call Mystober, where I plan to share with you a new case, new video every day for the month of October. Now, I am going to kind of share shorter cases, stories, research, articles, and stuff that I've been particularly collecting for this time of the year. You guys know that around Halloween, different channels share special events, and I thought that I had more than enough to share with you a new video every day leading up to Halloween, intending to create the most relaxing ASMR playlist with a twist of creepy, some paranormal cases involved in real life cases, and overall things that I find interesting and that I read about. So now I'll be sharing those with you in the month of October. The background noise is unavoidable. I've tried several places. There's always something. I hope that you still join me. Today we're going to talk about the inspiration for Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho. Now, this was a real-life psycho killer, and it was based on a shy Midwestern farm boy. If you haven't watched the series, the Netflix series Bates Motel, because you thought that it was a horror series, let me tell you, that's one of my favorite all-time series. And I'm actually planning something around that series. So, I'm gonna leave it at that. It is not horror, it is not, bloody or crazy scary, but it kind of touches on mental illness, the inability to control some of those illnesses, and how it reflects on the outside. How can somebody spot them? And how some people love them so much that it's hard to see it. But at the same time, the ability to kind of do a lot of evil without even noticing. If you haven't watched the series, again, because you thought it was bloody, not really. It's not so much of horror, so it's not. I'm gonna go out here and tell you that the good side of Norman, I'm gonna say it like that, is what a lot of mothers dream about, having a son, I'm not gonna continue with this because I'm gonna spoil it for you, but today's case, it's actually based on the real inspiration for the movie. Now, if you haven't watched it, a lot of people haven't. This was a classic, and it was a 19 1960 where this horror film was created, and so it's been a while, but it's about Norman Bates. You probably heard about that name, and again, it's kind of tied to a lot of scary scenes in movies. However, the main thing is that Norman is running an isolated motel in the movie where a guest, Marion Crane, is murdered as she showers. And it seems like it's an old woman who kills this lady. But, I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that movie, the killer turns out to be Norman, dressed up as a domineering mother that he actually killed years earlier. Now, this character that you can see in the movie, it's actually not a figment of Hitchcock's imagination. Again, the director modeled him on an actual serial killer. And the name is Ed Gein. Gein. It's Gein. I looked it up and then I forgot how it's pronounced. Now, this guy, Ed, was born in 1906, and he grew up on an isolated Plainfield, Wisconsin farm. His mother, Augusta, kept him busy reading the Bible and doing chores with his brother, Henry. The two were only allowed to leave the house to attend school. Their mother was verbally abusive, and Ed was very, very shy and devoted to his mother. Their father died of alcoholism in 1940, and the brother, Henry, was killed in a suspicious brush fire on the farm 4 years later. Some Plainfield residents suspected Ed of murdering his brother Henry, but no investigation was undertaken. Ed continued to live with his mother into adulthood, caring for her after 2 strokes that ultimately led to her death in 1945. He then shut up much of the house, leaving her body, his mom's body, undisturbed. Okay, if you haven't watched the series, I'm probably spoiling the thing, which bothers me, but Ed was locally known as Weird Old Eddie. He continued to live he kept to himself inside the house, and not even the entire house, but it only 2 rooms. And he supported himself doing occasional odd jobs. There was this one time where he showed some shrunken heads to a young boy who stopped by the house, claiming that they came from the South. 1947, Ed was identified as the last person to see 50-year-old hardware store owner Bernice Warden before she disappeared. During a search of Ed's farm, because he was the last to see this lady, the police found Warden's body in a shed. It was hanging upside down from a beam, slashed open and decapitated. When they entered other rooms, they discovered a lot of unsettling things like rotting stuff, and the most chilling discovery that they made was refrigerated and preserved human body parts, including at least one head. There were bowls made of human skulls, lampshades, and chairs, actual seat of the chair made of human skin, and trophies and trinkets made of various other body parts. So basically, he made a bunch of different household items out of skin and other body parts. Most chilling of all were the skins of a female victim. Actual victims, not victim, that he had removed and sewn together into a woman suit. If you think that's weird, hold on. He wore this suit to pretend that he was his mother, Augusta. Police found the partial remains of 10 other ladies at his house. And on top of that, Ed confessed to robbing the graves of 8 women in the local cemeteries between the 1947 and 1952. Police knew that the owner of the hardware store, remember Bernie's body, was the 9th, but they were uncertain of the identity of the 10th victim. They focused on 5 unsolved mysteries in the area, missing people cases dating from 1947 to 1952. Eventually, the evidence suggested that the unidentified parts belonged to the town's tavern keeper, Mary Hogan, who had disappeared in the winter of 1954. After an intensive search of the farm and neighboring land, Ed finally admitted that he not only disturbed the grapes, but also he confessed 1968, was tried for the murder. He was found guilty of Warden's death and sentenced to life in a mental hospital. He was never tried for Hogan's murder, who was Mary Hogan. Remember that she was the tavern keeper that disappeared in 1954, and they did find her body, but for some reason he was never tried for her murder. He died in 1984 at the age of 77 and was buried beside his mother. Oh, yeah, okay. You want a Halloween creepy? This is real life creepy. Okay, so he died in 1984 at the age of 77, and he was buried beside his mother. And, in the town, Plainfield, by the graves that he had robbed. Okay, so because of this, if you watched the Motel Bates Motel, gosh, what's wrong with my head today? You probably can understand why it was inspired by this Ed guy. But there are still a few other things that to add for Ed that maybe will make sense as well when you compare it to the series and maybe even the movie. Now, according to the evaluation that Ed got done, he had a very rare disorder, among other things. He was denied having sexual relations with the corpses on his property. But some witnesses, were not convinced. So they wonder what prompts necrophilia. After studying 122 cases of necrophilia, psychiatrists Jonathan Rosman and Philip Resnick in 1989 published a paper about the rare disorder in a journal of and this was a journal that was more for the law part of things. But they established 3 different characteristics. Number 1, who are they? Who is this people that do this kind of thing? Let's put it that way. 92% are male. 79% are personality disorders. And 17% are psychotic. Their most common occupations are, listen, hospital orderly, cemetery worker, and morgue attendant. By the way, have you guys watched the movie Autopsy of Jane Doe or something like that on Netflix? Yeah, it's about a morgue and stuff like that. It's pretty creepy, pretty scary. Have you watched it? Let me know. Okay, number 2. Why do they do it? 68% want a non-resisting and non-rejecting partner. are simply sexually attracted to corpses. Okay, whatever that means. 15% want to alleviate loneliness, and 12% want to boost their self-esteem by dominating their murder victims. No comment. What makes them this way? Which is what I'm gonna close this with. Common traits include poor self-esteem, fear of rejection, and fantasies of sex with a corpse. Many necrophiliacs had occasion to see or touch corpses at some point. So, this guy suffered a lot of different mental illnesses that kind of combined in with his upbringing, and his personal situation made it into what he was according to the research and according to the studies that were later on revealed. That's what sums up the reports that I read. It was a combination of things. It was not only this, but it was also, the combination of other, like he was schizophrenic, sexual psychopath. He was also mentally incompetent with the upbringings that he had, and it created this real life psycho killer. Now, learning a little bit more, I think when they added all this information, it was useful but a little bit creepy in my opinion, because it kind of shows the percentages that are pretty high, the reasons behind it, that unless you suffer this, this is according to experts, it's not me saying that, but unless you suffer this, it's kind of unexplainable. It doesn't make sense in your head. But to them, it's all they think about, it's all they want, it's kind of an obsession. So there you have it. The inspiration for the real Psycho movie was a farm boy that happened to have a very creepy combination of illnesses that were left untreated, and then made him into the real life psycho killer. Now in the movie there is a motel involved. There is no graves really involved in the thing, but if you watch the movie or if you watch the series, a lot of the things that you watched are kind of being reminded by this article and by this case that really reflects on something that it's very well known in the media. Now, what do you think about this? And have you watched the movie? Have you ever thought that it was possible for this to be inspired in a real life event, case? Or you thought that Alfred's imagination was a lot more creative and not so much inspired on someone like Ed? I would love to know what you think about it. Thank you so much for being here today. This is